All right, here we are, right here for episode 2 with your host, Sam Racco, and my co host, Tyler Shankles. And it's a very special episode because on today is our first official guest, and his name is Ryan Cook, probably my best buddy. My best buddy in the world. And I think before I let Ryan share like his backstory and how he became uh, great coach, a great friend, a great person, a great wrestler, and so on and so forth, I will kind of share my backstory of how I met Ryan and how he became to be such a special person in my life. So I met Ryan in 2016, uh, the fall of 2016, because I came back to wrestle at Borough my 5th year. So my 5th year at Borough Wrestling, I had problems with my hip surgery, right? So for some reason, my right hip, it was just bothering me pretty bad. So I decided to kind of call it quits and end my wrestling career. And Coach Flynn uh, told me that it's probably best to go and coach high school. And I didn't take that very well at the time, but both coaches called this guy, Ryan Cook, the best beard in the game. Some call him Conor McGregor. So they called him on a Friday, and I will never forget this because Ryan called me the very next day on a Saturday, and I met him at practice at General McLane High School. I am wearing the polo now. I met him there at the high school that Monday, and basically he showed me around. He showed me the team, and I loved it. I immediately fell in love with him as a human being, as a coach, and I coached there for 3 years, and I said that in our first podcast. I coached there for 3 years with him, and me and him and the awesome coaching staff there had many state qualifiers, state placers, a state finalist, and Ethan Laird, and yeah. So I actually also lived with Ryan for about a year and a half, I think, and that was a fun time. And obviously, getting this job in Lincoln, it was sad, but I left to go and coach college, and I missed coaching high school with Ryan, and he's a great person, a great coach, and I guess I will end with this before I let Ryan take over. I have played many sports like baseball, track, football, wrestling, so I have been around many coaches, and out of all the coaches that have coached me, that I've coached with, that I've seen coach, I can honestly say I think he is the best. I really think that because I think he cares the most. He has the best technique. He he preaches being a good person on and off the mat. The same with me, and I can honestly say that I probably learned all of my coaching technique with wrestling and just being a good person in general from Ryan. So I figured he was the perfect first guest for this podcast, and I'm gonna let him take over.
Wow. Thanks, Sam. That was one heck of a introduction. So I guess this whole thing's over with now, so I don't ruin it. You kind of built me up there a little bit. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having me. The first guest of this is the 3Bs podcast, right? Bourbon, beards, and biceps.
It might as well be.
If not, I accepted the wrong Zoom invitation, but we'll stick with you guys anyways. I love what you guys are doing, going out there and starting something new, spreading positivity, chasing your dreams. I know Tyler, this is one of the first times I'm meeting you, but I know Sammy, it's something he's always been trying to do is be positive all the time. That's one of the reasons why he's such a great coach, right? He goes out there and chases his dreams. He's not scared to put it on the line, all right, whether he gets made fun of. And that's one of my favorite things to do is kind of pick on Sammy a little bit. We've had a great relationship with that. Also, there's a munchkin running around in the background. Don't pay any attention to her, or do if you want to. She's going to be hanging out and making noise a little bit. But yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
So,
what do you got for me?
Tyler, do you have anything for him?
I was just gonna say, this is first time actually talking to you and everything, but looking into your background and everything, 200 wins. I saw you picked up your 200 win. Like that doesn't just
Good
come.
research. Good
Doesn't
research.
just come. They don't hand those wins out like that. So I was like, man, had to be a long time coming, but definitely worth it. And then to go along with all the placers and qualifiers and everything and it, just all combined, you obviously have something special there, and you know what you're doing. And I've heard great things about you, both from Sammy and from my brother Eric, and I'm just glad to have you on, man.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
So the look at the slime. Just give them a quick rundown, Ryan, like your background, where you're from, your college, your major, how you came to coach at General McLane, and then I will ask some questions from there.
All right, easy enough. I'm originally from Messina, New York, upstate New York, about as far north as you can go in the state of New York and not be in Canada. From a wrestling family. Father wrestled, uncles on my mom's side wrestled, so it was something that we got into earlier. My brother also wrestled as well. It's just kind of one of the things that I fell in love with. And wrestling wasn't super successful where I was from in that whole area and at the high school. And I'm not saying we did a whole lot to change that while we're there, but it's just still something I fell in love with. We're pretty much a hockey area up there. From there, I was a multiple-time state qualifier, never achieved my goals there. And I get a letter in the mail from Edinboro University and Bruce Baumgartner. So that's something that gets your attention as a young wrestling fan, young wrestler. And
Absolutely.
not like I was trying to get away from where I was at, but I just kind of wanted to take that jump. I thought it was a great opportunity from there. I was a huge fan of the sport. And back then it was hard to it was real hard to get any information on wrestling, not like it is today. Like there wasn't the videos out there for technique, the instant access before, the internet and all that. So a lot of my information and where Edinburgh got on the map for me, besides the letter from Bruce Baumgartner, is just like old wrestling magazines. I was into it. Anything I could get wrestling, that's what I was going to read. I was going to gravitate towards that. I get all the magazines I could. The few videos, technique videos that were out there, got them as well. I was trying to make myself a better wrestler through that. I was always a fan. Big Ohio State fan too. Went to Ohio State wrestling camp when I was in high school. But so from there, it was college at Edinboro. And then I didn't have a successful career at Edinboro, but I think it just was something that continued my love for the sport. It grew my love for the sport. And technique-wise and stuff like that, it was a huge eye-opener. Made a lot of connections by being at Edinboro. Like I said, again, I didn't have a fantastic career by any means when I was there. But I think that was a positive step to let me know that coaching was what I wanted to do. I mean, sometimes in life you just end up where you end up, and you chase your dreams from there. And it just made me realize how much I like wrestling. And not only that, I mean, Edinburgh's a wrestling town. I went from a town that you aren't going to see or hear much talk of wrestling at all. It was almost non-existent besides the people that were in the sport at the time. Newspaper wasn't in there. A lot of like I said, again, it was a hockey school. In my 4 years in high school, the Messina won the state hockey championship twice. So that's where all the focus was there. Now I'm in an area which I assume really, once I got to Edinboro, I figured out was the best wrestling state in the nation. And then from there, I mean, the town loved wrestling at youth, high school, and college level. You go into diners and bars in the town, and there's wrestling memorabilia on the walls. So that's kind of how I ended up making this a home. I really liked Edinboro because of that. Like I said, again, it was kind of like developed my love for the sport. And how I became a coach at Edinboro, it was my last year at Edinboro. I wasn't wrestling anymore. This is my 5th year at Edinboro. and I was at the Edinburgh Hotel bar. I was sitting in there with a couple of my buddies that were wrestlers as well. Guy behind us said, "You guys look like you might be wrestlers." Turned around and we're like, "Yeah, we are." He's like, "And you guys interested in coaching?" And immediately all three of us said, "Yes, yes, yes." We all wanted to. And it turned out it was Tim Mulholland, who was the head wrestling coach of Jen McLane at the time. It was him asking us. And he's like, "Well, here's my information. Here's what you need to do. Get this paperwork filled out. And it comes back, your background clearances and all that, come back. Then we'll meet and we'll talk. We'll figure it out from there." And that was it. In that very first year, I was a volunteer assistant coach, and with another one of my good friends and former Edinburgh teammates, Kevin O'Mara. And it was, and instantly it was kind of what I knew I wanted to do. I don't know if it was a calling then or whatever, but it was what I wanted to do. I felt comfortable, even more comfortable in the town. Now I wasn't just one of the college kids in the town anymore. I was somebody that was helping out, making the town a better place. I mean, and you know, it was, and on top of it, you know, I was paid. I was an employee of the school. It was something else, and from there, it kind of jumped off to being what I was going to be, a wrestling coach.
Yeah, and also, how many years have you've been coaching there? Is it because it's almost close to 20, right?
19. Just finished season number 19, and I am
19 years with over
extremely grateful we got every single match of those in. There's some states and some schools that didn't get a chance to do that this year, which is just heartbreaking to even think about that. You know, how I see how much my guys put into it, and I know what I put into it, my coaching staff puts into the sport, and for that rug to kind of be pulled out from underneath of them, it's heartbreaking. But I don't know, maybe you guys know, like I think Ohio might be the only state in the nation that didn't get their state wrestling championship in.
I think that's right.
I also think that's right.
And usually Pennsylvania is the last state tournament of the year, or it's usually Ohio then Pennsylvania, or they're both together at the same time, but it's almost always Pennsylvania. So whatever reason, then we had some luck and some blessings on our side that we got to finish out what we started there.
Yeah, so I guess my first question are for you, and you know, I see this with like other high school teams and coaches coming in and like wanting to practice and like wrestle live and get technique from you like during the postseason. So I guess my question for you, and you know, I like mentioned this earlier, is that I think you are a great coach because of the separation of knowing so much technique. And you know, I've seen that after coaching there with you for 3 years, is that, and it's not just folk style and like freestyle too. And I think I haven't ever seen a coach that knows as much technique as you. So I guess, you know, how did you come to be such a great technician and like just learning, you know, how to flow through it so easily and like know all the right things to do in that moment?
Good question. It didn't come about easy. You know, I've wrestled since I was 4 years old, so you pick those things up. At our high school, growing up, actually, my brother and I showed a lot of the technique as well. It wasn't like
same.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great coach. He was a great motivator, and we were in shape, you know. So I knew that aspect. I knew how to portray that and do that as well on my own. But I mean, he would kind of show us a move. He would tell us a move, and I want you to show this, and we would show it. If we were doing something incorrect, he would kind of stop us and put us through it as well. And that was, I guess, that was an early introduction to doing it, trying to figure out technique. I was lucky enough to be at Edinburgh. We had some fantastic coaches and some fantastic wrestlers during that time. I mean, my first year at Edinburgh, Bruce Baumgarten was the head coach, which was also his last year as a head wrestling coach. He moved on to administration after that. And we all know, I mean, anybody watching this, I'm sure knows who Tim Flynn is and what he's done, his accomplishments. And I was in there with that. Lou Roselli was also on the team. It was so my freshman year at Edinburgh, those guys were just getting back from the '96 Olympics. Talk about something. way to make him nervous going into college.
Yeah.
Those two guys, I was sitting in my friend's basement watching the opening ceremonies of the 96 Olympics, and you got
Which was
Bruce
in
Baumgartner.
Atlanta?
Yes, in Atlanta. Bruce Baumgartner carrying out the USA flag for the whole
Yeah.
contingency of the United States.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool. Like, that guy's wrestler. It's like, he's not just a wrestler. That's going to be my wrestling coach in
Yeah.
2 months. And it was like one of the coolest things to watch. And I have pictures of it on my phone. I look at it all the time. It's just, and watching the opening ceremonies, every other country carrying the flag, they have the big rope around their neck and they stick the flag into it, hold it. Man, Big Bruce carried that straight arm right out in front of him the whole way around that lap. I was like, he's not putting that in that harness. No.
Yeah,
Arm straight in front of him.
I know it needs it.
Yeah, it was awesome. And another thing that kind of gets your heart pumping, when even before the ceremonies, we went down on a visit to Edinburgh. Your initiation, this is not for wrestling. This is for like show you the school and everything like that. I just kind of peeked in, stopped by the wrestling room, and it was Bruce Baumgartner and Kurt Angle in their wrestling live.
Wow.
That was fun to watch, and that kind of like, make you second guess what you're doing. It's like, am I on that level? And maybe I wasn't, but I was going to give it a shot. I'm very glad I did, and that kind of got me where I was at. So technique came from fantastic coaches, guys on the team when I was there. I mean, Tony Roby was still wrestling when I was on the team. Josh Koscheck was a year after me when I was on the team, and just kind of surrounded by it. And if you don't know something and around somebody that does, listen, be a sponge, right? Don't be scared to ask questions. Don't be scared to try it. I mean, you're going to fail. How many people did something for the first time and they failed, right? I mean, you have to multiple different times to get it right. And that was kind of how I did it. My wrestling career at Edinburgh was kind of that way. I was always fighting to get better, fighting to learn more. And then from there, when I started coaching, the coach prior to me, I mean, he had 100 and some wins as a head coach, and he was there for a long time. Tim Mulholland, I mean, he showed me a lot of moves, and I saw how he did things, and I incorporated a lot of what he did into how I coached. Maybe not all my technique came from him, but how to coach definitely did. He was very caring about the kids, and kids always came first. All right, and he had a really good time doing it, and I caught him at the tail end of his career where he might have been looking for somebody to take over, and I popped in there, and I think he pegged me and kind of like, that's the guy. Let's show him everything I know, and I was lucky enough to have that guidance from me at the beginning. And then the rest of the technique, like I was saying at the beginning, when I was growing up, it was really, really hard to find anything on wrestling, watching matches. And in this day and age, man, you can anything and everything about wrestling, about sports, about getting better. My dryer's sitting here next to me in the living room that's broke down. I've been watching YouTube videos on how to fix it, and of course calling my other assistant coach, Hunter Harrison, come over to help me with it. But anything, you can find out how to do it. Give it a shot. You're going to fail at first, maybe, but there's people out there to guide you through it. So watching videos on technique, and nothing, again, just doing it. I've been coaching for a long time now, going into my 19th season, and you kind of figure out what works and what doesn't. Some things you hold on to, and some things you kind of let go. I mean, wrestling's changed a lot since when I was in high school, since when I was in college, and since I started coaching wrestling. The technique is crazy. It's better. And that's another thing, like with it, you got to keep learning as well. If you're going to stay effective in pretty much whatever you do, you have to keep learning.
And I say this a lot too. If I had a coach like you in high school, man, I would have won so many more matches, just because I always got stuck in the short offense. And this arm is just tucked under, it's caught, and the kid's cinching on it. But I've learned so much technique from just watching you in the front headlock and seeing that a rollover or the wrist grab. And I just love, honestly, that's my favorite technique from you is the short offense, and it's great stuff.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where I picked up some of that stuff. I mean, you just kind of gravitate towards technique and watching matches, and kind of hope things work. Yeah, that's some it's fun technique there too. It's easier on an old coach to show. It's much easier for me to sprawl on top of somebody than to be underneath them trying to lift them up and run them down all the time.
Oh yeah, man, those
Common
days,
position.
as your dummy in practice from the doubles or the headlocks, I was like, please just pick somebody else.
I knew, Charlie. I knew if I did it right, if you made that squeaking noise, I was like, all right, that was a good one. We'll let them go out and try it now.
So I guess my next question is, just because I have seen it so much in high school programs and college programs not doing it, is lifting and strength training. And I think that, the like program at GM, like it is basically ran by you. And the like kids listen to you as guidance for their strength training. And I think the like sheet and the program is perfect. And basically it's at the high school level. And I just love how like you basically tell them, listen, this strength training, it'll only help you be better at wrestling. And I think my question is basically, how did you come to love strength training, or have the athletes start doing it?
Well, I was lucky enough in high school. I mean, I was small. I mean, my freshman year, I was a state qualifier at 91 pounds, which was an actual weight class back then. But I knew it was something I needed in my wrestling, as I needed to get stronger. And we had a guy that was in our program. His name's Dale Waldruff. He was his son was a wrestler in the youth program at the time. My dad was coaching the youth program as well, and he lifted. He did it all the time, and we just kind of ran into him. I don't know exactly how it just ended up, but so I ended up, before I think a lot of people had strength trainers, I had one in high school. Me and my brother would go out to his house. The dude
really?
worked. Yeah, he worked nights, so we would get to his house after school like 3-4 o'clock, and a lot of times we're knocking on the door and he's just coming down from sleeping, and he would go down, he'd wake up and he'd come down. Like, it was just like this free of charge thing, like, come do this. He was looking for somebody to work out with too, and then just kind of, how I'm sure anybody that's coaching like your athletes and your youth motivates you. So I think we're doing a little bit of that for him, but he showed us how to do things the right way. If we were wrong technique, correct it instantly. He wasn't going to let us lift heavier weights if it wasn't correct technique. And he had a huge hill outside his house too. Mm-hmm. So if we consistently did it, poor technique, I mean, he was like a coach to us that way. He's like, outside, we're going to go outside. You're going to run the hill twice with dumbbells, come back in, pay attention to what I'm saying, get the technique right. And then from there, it always became part of, my wrestling. Things get easier when you're stronger on that.
Yeah.
I wasn't blessed with speed. I did everything I could to get faster, but, you kind of work with what you have and improve your tools. So strength is something that we always worked on. Obviously at Edinburgh in college, there's morning lift. You're working out twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. And it's hard to get high school wrestlers to buy into that. But I had a very successful wrestler. His name was Seth Stonis. He was kind of a tweener between weight classes. Like, I think it was 70 and 189 were the weight classes. Like, him getting down to 70, I knew he was going to lose some strength. And I didn't know. We didn't actually have to have him in that weight class. And he said, I think I'd be more comfortable at 89. And I was like, well, you have to get bigger. You have to get stronger. He's like, all right, I'll lift whenever you tell me to. And I was like, well, the job I had at the time didn't allow me to, hook up with him at the proper time. So I was like, we're going in the mornings every day, 6 o'clock. So we started that. So Seth was my first athlete I did that with. And I wish I could tell you what year it was, but, I've been coaching for a long time with like the years, and the kids they're all on one team. It seems like one team, 1 year, forever, but it's taken off from them. He made huge strides that year, and the kids after him jumped on board. They saw his strides, so a couple of the kids would trickle in, and then it was just something that we did in our program. And now we have like the preseason before, it's in the beginning of the season and like preseason, like we've had huge numbers. Like, we're having like 18 kids at 6 o'clock in the morning lifting weights, hop downstairs, shower, and go to class. And then right after school, they're doing their workout again. So they're obviously getting better. And another thing that trickle down from that is it's the easy, I've worked hard to lose mentalities that we kind of put that in. And I guess it's something you can easily just say to your kid, man, you've been working out twice a day for 4 straight months.
In high school.
Yes,
in high school, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you're better than this kid. You can beat this kid. You know, and we get a lot of wins just on that. Just refuse to lose. I've worked too hard.
Tangible that they can like actually see, like, oh, you know, they may be like thinking, oh, well, you know, this guy's doing the same amount of work as I am, but then you can like point, no, you are doing so much more than them.
Yeah, I mean, get that guy's phone number. Call him at 6 o'clock in the morning when you're uplifting. I bet he doesn't answer.
Yeah, I bet you he does not answer.
We have a lot of guys that do that, and then lifting's important. You got to keep the strength, and anybody that wrestles knows when you're losing weight, getting down to weight, you're going to lose some strength, but you got to maintain it somehow. So your lift's got to change a little bit during the season. We've done a good job with that. Not only that, the guys that are losing weight, they have another opportunity to work out, you know, and it doesn't have to be long. You know, 45-minute weight training in the morning, you're going to get stronger. It's going to bump up your metabolism, so you're ready you're firing all day long, ready to go. And again, then it adds that extra edge. Like I've worked really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big part of it is strength training. And it also helps with less, you know, really, you know, not being hurt or injured during the season.
Yeah.
In a way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're protecting our muscles that way too, as well. I mean, it's not easy, but you do it for quite a while, and the kids get used to it. I mean, your body, like halfway through the season, even though you're sore and tired, your body kind of wants that. Like they're half of them are up at that time anyway, so your body gets used to it, and it wants that workout, it wants that output at that time of the day, and go ahead and go feed it, and you're gonna get better.
I'm gonna share a funny story now of a morning lift here. So I coached there for 3 years. So I probably only came to like 3 or 5 morning lifts, just because I always work like from 6 to 2 at you know, my personal training job, right? So I show up to one morning lift. It was a Monday. It was chest and tries, right? So I show up, and I swear to God, I did like 15 sets of triceps, and I mean skull crushers, push downs, push-ups, and I couldn't even wash my hair in the shower for like 5 days. I swear to God, my triceps were so shot. Man, that is the worst my arms and, well, especially triceps have ever felt. And it was really sore for a week. But yeah, it was.
You can't jump right into the advanced workouts like that.
You got to build up into
that. Yeah. Yeah. And another side effect of lifting early in the morning is you end up looking good when it comes summertime. So
there you go.
So some of those tricep workouts have a little added feature to it as well.
So I guess my next question is obviously being in Borough since 2012 until like 2019, I guess I saw everybody in that town, in that area, basically every parent or wrestler knows Ryan Cook. And I think that, you know, basically every person likes you. And I guess my question is, you know, really, how do you become so likable by wrestling parents and your wrestlers? Because obviously wrestling is a very passionate sport, and like most wrestlers and parents don't really like the coach. But I feel most wrestlers and parents are big fans of you. So I guess, yeah.
But don't be an asshole.
Simple as that.
That's simple. That's a life motto there. I don't know how to answer that truthfully. And try and be a good person, I guess. Besides that, even if they disagree with your methods or they're upset about something, as long as they can reach back and they can kind of figure out, they know that you have a child's best interest in mind, that you really care. All right, a lot of it's caring. You know, I mean, it really is. I mean, at the end of the day, and I've had this conversation with some parents. It's like I I coach the kids. I don't coach the parents. So I'm not overly involved with some of the parents because sometimes lines get crossed and, if you're buddies with them and maybe they expect things and stuff like that. And those are some of the things that you learn early on as a coach, as a younger coach. So you, as a coach and a person, you don't want to get your feelings hurt as well. So you don't want like parents yelling at you, like somebody that you thought was your friend and stuff like that. Not like you don't cross those lines, because I like to think they're all part of a family. We all have the same goal, same team. But I like to think that even if a parent is upset with something that happened as your coaching style or something you did as a coach, that you've made enough headway with the kid knows that you care enough that kid's going to say something, or the parent can just see the relationship between you and that athlete to understand that, all right, I'm mad right now, maybe this, but maybe he's got another plan. Maybe he's working on something. Obviously my son likes him. My son thinks what he's doing is correct. And on top of that, like in the coaching standpoint from it, I mean, you have to understand that the parent's first job is that child. You got to keep that in the back of your mind when you're dealing with a child, when you have an upset parent or any situation. Like that's their number one job is their child. And that's their main interest. I mean, they want to be like there for the team, and they can be one of the best parents in the team, but first and foremost, their focus and their job is that child. So you got to kind of take that into consideration whenever you're dealing with them, and and step back. Maybe they're angry right now, but you kind of almost every single parent you can talk to, and after a while, maybe they're upset at the beginning and down. But like I said, it's that relationship with the child that's the most important.
Yeah,
you don't lose the athlete. You can lose a parent here and there, but as long as you don't lose the athlete, you're going to be all right.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, just for seeing a high school team and like following it for so long, I have never seen such a big following from the town, like boosters and parents, and the bars there just like love the GM wrestling, and I just think it's awesome, like a huge following.
Yeah, well, I'm extremely lucky. I'm extremely fortunate in where I'm at for many, many different reasons. And I can go on and on about the benefits of Edinburgh, Pennsylvania to anybody that wants to listen to them. But I mean, a few things is the success of the university obviously makes wrestling something that people want to look at. And then just trickle down from there. They look at the high school. I mean, most people are going to be bigger followers of the high school than college, just based on them living in there. A lot of the athletes from the college are from different towns and, sometimes countries and states like that. But Edinburgh is very unique in the situation that the college kind of blends very well with the high school, with the regular town. I've been great friends with Edinburgh coaches like Tim Flynn and their assistant coaches, and currently the coach Matt Hill. Him and I are friends. Like, we have the same ideas and what we want to happen with wrestling in the area. But I mean, that's not just with wrestling. I mean, football, they cross lines between the high school and the college. They always help each other out, stuff like that. It's very giving, small community that wants success, and there is a great deal of pride in Jen McLane and a great deal of pride in Edinburgh University. Absolutely. In the town of Edinburgh. Another thing that I'm lucky for is I get athletes, ex-Edinburgh athletes like you that are on my staff. I mean, that makes it so easy for me to, one, show them new technique, because new techniques are coming in. I think I have slime over top of my head based on your reaction.
Yeah, like who came on the staff this year? Spencer Nagy, and I heard,
fantastic.
He was a solid coach.
I've been extremely lucky in that aspect. I mean, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, like I was lucky enough to have you. I mean, I can go through a list of people. I mean, I'm not going to do it all because I will forget somebody and somebody get mad. But I mean, it's been great. I mean, whether the stop that they come in for is a month, and maybe their life plans change or something like that, but we gain something from that. The kids, especially nowadays, the kids get to continue relationships with the coaches easier through social media and stuff like that. Good, bad social media, but it's that aspect of connecting people. So I know I have a kid that came in for 1 or 2 years as a ex-college athlete, still in town, that coached our team. I know they're still communicating with wrestlers on the team. That were 5, 8 years younger than them, but they're still friends with them. Sammy, I'm sure you have a lot of those guys that you coached as well. You're still in contact with, and that's another unique situation that I'm very grateful for. And that, longevity that I had, a lot of it comes from some of the luck, some of the good things that this town just brings and puts on your lap, and those things make it easier. Make it easier. On my lap. Yeah, she's on my lap.
So I guess the next thing I want to talk about is a awesome kid who is a senior next year at GM, Jackson Spires, and I guess his story and his path of placing at states last year at the PA state tournament, and I was watching his match in the cafe on the Lincoln campus, and man, he tossed that kid and he pinned him, and I went insane just because Jackson is a great kid, a great heart, and just an awesome wrestler. And I guess just share with us Jackson Spire's story.
Jackson is a very easy kid to talk about, especially right now. We're going a little recency bias, but we dig deep. If you want a 4-hour podcast, I can tell you a lot of stories about some fantastic kids that
short and sweet
had success like Jackson did, and some of them that worked their butts off and never got that success they had in high school, but their stories from down the road are just amazing. But yeah, Jackson's a very easy kid to talk about. And the way his season all plays out, his career, I'm going to start with his freshman brother, who is a 220-pounder for us this year, who at one point in his freshman season, and Wilson, his brother, didn't have a whole lot of success growing up, not the success that Jackson had all the way through. But at one point in the season, his freshman year, he had 2 less career wins than his junior brother did, which we played with that a little bit. But Jackson's path.
That's very impressive.
Yeah. So Jackson's path was, he took third at the PJW junior high tournament, which is
8th grade year.
It's his 8th grade year, which is it's a junior high tournament, but this tournament is as legit as it comes. It is crazy. There's almost twice as many kids in that PJW bracket as there is in the state brackets. They all have to qualify to get there, and it's AA and AAA combined. So Jackson had a great, we'll call that his youth career. He had a great youth career. He was a youth state medalist, and he took, I think, 7th to 7th grade year, and 8th his 8th grade year he took 3rd. And then huge expectations. He's one of those kids that you just want to coach. You watch kids growing up, can't wait till I get him. Can't wait till I get him in the room, as long as he's progressing and doing the right things. And he was doing all that, and then he broke his wrist playing football. Mm-hmm. He played the football season with it. He didn't know it was broken, and right when he got in the wrestling room, he was doing some stuff, and the pain was too much, and he went and got X-rays and everything on it, and it turned out he had broken wrist, a pretty severe spot to get fixed, and he had surgery. And we knew he was probably out the whole season, and then got to the point where he might be able to think about returning, and the surgery didn't take, so we had to have it again. So he missed his entire freshman year, but he was in the practice room every single day. He's like, what can I do? Yeah, he was lifting, and he would come in, and he took kind of a leadership role with his freshman class and made sure the guys that were coming up that he had grown up with wrestling, they were doing the right things. He was helping out. He wasn't trying to step on our toes and try and be a coach, but he made sure that the kids that he knew were doing the right thing. And now comes his sophomore year, and we're pumped. He's healthy. He's ready to go. He still has a little bit lingering pain in his wrist, but he's good to go. And his very first tournament, he tears his knee up. So now he's out almost his entire sophomore year. He gets healthy enough to come back, and he does for postseason. Had a great postseason run. I think he had, at that point, entering the state tournament, I think he had 12 matches in his career. And he was in his career, and he won 2 matches at the state tournament, and he was right there. He had a great run. I think fully healthy, and
Had the
full
kid
season.
in a side cradle too, and so
I thought he was going to break that kid in half and get those
I was
points.
devastated, but yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, that's the thing about wrestling and you and being a good coach is like you feel those things for the kid, especially for good kids like that. I mean, kids that put all the effort in and do the right things. And then now we go to this year, his junior year, and this is a kid that, I mean, he 100% wants to wrestle in college, and coaches, he's still out there, he's still available. And he's a like 4.5 GPA student.
Yeah.
He's a kid that always wants to learn, always wants to get better, and he had a great year. He was cruising right along up until after the first of the year, and then hurts his knee again. He ended up having a tear in his meniscus. He did all the MRIs and figured it out, and then he kind of had a game plan where the doctor said you most likely won't hurt it anymore, but you're gonna have to deal with it if you want to wrestle. And Jackson's he wasn't missing another postseason. So I mean, it's a great run. Ended up wrestling through the. I mean, he before postseason even started, he had his surgery schedule on his knee, and then he, a kid like that puts everything into it, and I'm so grateful that he had a chance to finish his season. Not everybody did again, but he did. Great run. He had some tough dudes in his weight class.
Stack bracket,
yeah. PA. Everybody was saying that was one of the top brackets in the AA state tournament, and he ended up in the bud round. His match was against a returning state medalist. A guy had like one of those 140, 150 win guys, returning state medalist, and man, he one reason why he succeeds is he goes for it. He's not scared to hit that move.
Timid whatsoever.
I mean, why go down without swinging? And he knows when things are there, and if it's there, he's going to hit it. I mean, he's gonna go after it, and he did, and it was great. And he had that pin. I mean, I've watched that match.
Yeah,
at least 50
times. Chills watching it.
At least 50 times, because it's on our Facebook page. It's like that first video that pops up, and it's only 40 seconds long, and I have 40 seconds every single day to watch that video. A kid like that, go and get it, and it's just amazing. He's a kid, goes and hugs his coaches. He thanks you right away, and he runs and jumps and stands and thanks mom and dad, So that's what he does. And like one of my favorite pictures I have of that kid is after he won his state medal, he jumped in the stands and, quick high five to his dad. Then he went and gave my daughter a hug, which was, it's pretty special that my daughter gets to enjoy the journey as well, because kids like Jackson and everybody on the team is great. They share their journey with this 7-8-year-old girl that's in the wrestling room all the time, which is, it's great. I mean, it's another thing that I'm just grateful for that I have in this community.
Yeah, I was planning on talking about Charlie next, but if like Tyler had any questions for you, then feel free to ask, Tyler.
I didn't have anything. I just think it's awesome what you've done with the program. Just looking at your success and everything, and I'm excited to see what happens in the future. I know things are kind of crazy right now with the pandemic and everything going on. I'm sure it's kind of affecting all the off-season work that your wrestlers and everything have been doing. But if they're like me, then they're definitely getting their work somehow.
Yeah, it has been hard. We had huge plans.
Things open in PA or no?
Slightly. We're in Erie County, and it's still not green. So we go by colors. They got the red, yellow, green, and we're still yellow. Yeah. So some things are starting to open up with the weather, like some dining can go outside. It's not fully open by any means, but some people treat it like it is, and some people treat it like it's not. I mean, I'm not even sure where to go with what common ground that it should be. Yeah. So many different conflicting reports on everything. Yeah. Just kind of go where you're comfortable at, and try and not make other people uncomfortable. I mean, wearing a mask is not that big of a deal. You still have a lot of other freedoms that are things you can do. Yeah, it's uncomfortable for yourself, but I mean, if you're at the bar or at Walmart, that person has that mask on for 8 hours a day, and you got the 20 minutes to an hour that you have to have it on. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's not ideal by any means, but just try not to make other people uncomfortable.
So next, I want to talk something about that is very close to my heart, and That is that bourbon?
Bourbon is close to
Is that
Power.
bullet?
Yeah, that is bourbon. That is
All right,
bourbon.
nice. So yeah, next I want to talk about is Charlie Cook, your 8-year-old daughter who just turned 8 April, right?
Yep.
April 8th.
April 8th.
April
Yeah,
8th,
that's it.
2012. So yeah, so I met you in 2016, and I kind of fell in love, basically with the Cook family because of Charlie and just how sweet of a girl Charlie is, and just outgoing and funny and caring and loving. So obviously, most of my friends know this, but Charlie has a thing called cystic fibrosis, and that's obviously not easy to deal with or live with. But I think, really, what makes you a great person is like being a outstanding father and like just always taking care of her, and just being a good support system. And it's just awesome, like just taking Charlie to practice, going on bike rides with her, having her meet all these people, and then the biggest thing, the adult prom. And I just kind of want you to talk about cystic fibrosis and the whole adult prom thing, and it's just awesome. So yeah.
Yeah. So Charlie has cystic fibrosis. It's something that she's had since birth. Obviously, it's a pretty rare genetic disease. It affects the respiratory system most of all. I'm not going to get into the science and everything behind it. I'm going to go into just stories and stuff about how to deal with it. And there's a lot of talk about the new normal and everything like that people have to deal with. That's not a word or a phrase that's new or revolutionary to us or anybody else that's dealing with a disease or something like that. I mean, as soon as you have a child, you have a new normal then. Now, as soon as you have a child that has a disease or a disability or something different about them, there's a whole other step to that new normal that some people are complaining about. We have to do this and we have to do that because of COVID in this new normal. But those are something that's instantly thrown at you in your life. Whatever age that something happens to somebody you care about and love, that, so we have Charlie's new normal has been since she was, I think it was 2 weeks old, that she was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. And we're lucky that we live in a state, and I think almost every state in the nation has newborn screening for cystic fibrosis. So, simple. They did a little heel prick, test the blood, found that she maybe have it, and then you come in for different testing for it. So we're lucky enough that Pennsylvania is one of those states that's covered. So that's just something we dealt with. She has to take enzymes when she eats anything that has fat or protein, because just due to cystic fibrosis, her pancreas is blocked, so the enzymes don't get into her bloodstream or digestive tract to break down fats and proteins. So for her right now, her age, gaining weight is something that's very important. So if something does go wrong with her lungs, that she's, big enough and stable enough to last through treatments and stuff like that. She has to do a vest to keep the mucus in her lungs broken up, keep the mucus moving through so none of the diseases or bacteria stay in there. She's got a bunch of different medications. She's got a lot of things on her plate that she has to do. And she does them, not always with a smile on her face. I'm sure you can attest to that. And it's like any parent that has to tell their kid to do something. That's what it is. So that's our new normal. Instead of me saying, you have to make your bed, I'm saying you have to drink all your milk, which is a medicine milk. You have to do your vest right now. And, there's some pushback there, but that's our new normal. That's what I say to her all the time. Finish eating, drink your milk, do your vest, So that's our new normal on that. But we're in a day and age and where cystic fibrosis, which once had a life expectancy of like, early teens, our life expectancy for anybody with cystic fibrosis now is upper mid 40s, which is great, but it's not the best. You want a lot more. You always want a lot more. But the recent advances in treatments in medicine has pushed that age way up. I mean, the horizon is very bright with anybody on. There's this new breakthrough medication. A lot of the medications and treatments before were to treat the symptoms. Now we have medication out there to treat the causes of cystic fibrosis, and people's lung function has been like doubling, like they're up into normal ranges. When we're down, one of the most tense, scary days of my life is when we took Charlie down as a 2-week-old infant to our doctors in Pittsburgh, where they did the testing, and then you go in the room and then they reveal, your daughter has cystic fibrosis, and that's life-changing there. It's one thing I always remember is a doctor, like after, settles down a little bit, the doctor said, right now there is really no better time to have somebody diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. And I adamantly disagreed with him, saying, well, there's still cystic fibrosis. So there's a better time than right now. It's not something you want to hear as a parent that you have it. But what he was just referring to is like how close we are to making this disease something as common as, say, asthma, respiratory disease that has a lot of treatments for it. So, I mean, that's what we're looking at, and through many, many different fundraisers by many, many different people. The Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, which you can go to cff.org. There's many different ways to donate on there, but they're one of the top foundations for any disease that the money goes back to treatments. They've done a great job with the money that comes through fundraisers, getting funneled right to smaller pharmacies that are going to use that money just for that. Obviously, being a disease that's rare, there's not that many people, so unfortunately, there's dollars and cents behind almost everything in this world. So the more the money and stuff like that, the bigger pharmacies, the money's going towards, like curing cancer and other diseases, which is great. I mean, that needs to be cured as well. I mean, I understand that plight there, but the foundation specifically, their money goes to smaller pharmacies and laboratories that are going to work just for that. That money to them keeps them afloat, and so there's been great breakthroughs on it. I mean, it's amazing. We're extremely happy that we're getting so close to this new normal being a whole different type of normal. I mean, there's great cases out there about it. I mean, and something that you brought up the adult prom. If you guys want to eject any time, go ahead. I feel sometimes I just I'm not a very often spoken person, but there's two things that I can really go off on. You want to talk about wrestling, and you want to talk about my daughter and cystic fibrosis. I can talk.
That's
talk
fine.
on.
Talk away.
And I'm going to throw Edinburgh back into the mix here a little bit too, and kind of tie both those things together. I'm a religious person. I'm a Catholic, and I believe in fate and things happening for a reason. People being, in the situation you are, you're there for a reason, whether you were put there or you earned it or whatever. And I really think that Charlie was kind of born with cystic fibrosis for a reason. I feel like over the years I got a pretty good reach within the wrestling community, and she's gonna be one of the ones that make cystic fibrosis stand for cure found. It's just like the reach and like the outpouring of help and support, and I'm not talking just financial, but that's been a huge part of it, and a lot of that has came just from wrestling. And I'll forever be indebted to wrestling just for the other things that brought my life, but for what it's helping the quality of Charlie's life as well. I have we do a takedown cystic fibrosis match that we did
awesome.
And she was, the first year we did it, she was maybe, 6-8 months old. We did it, and it started out small, but donors, we made like $2,000-$3,000 on the first one, and that's been every year since she was born. And this year we raised over $10,000 at one wrestling match.
Wow.
Our sponsors were insane. I asked anybody, yep, $200, put my name in the back of the t-shirt, and people pledged per takedown for my team or the other team or both, and people just giving money at the door, and the school district promotes it and pumps it, and the general public here in Edinburgh, in McLane, they support it so much. And we had I reached out to Cradle Gear, who they've they're a wrestling-based company, and I asked them for some support on this. And I mean, they donated singlets to us. It was great. Like nobody had seen it before at all. The kids didn't see them. Only like a couple coaches and my girlfriend had seen the singlets before. I busted them out to the kids in the locker room before the match. And purple singlets, great big cystic fibrosis purple ribbon on the front of them. It was awesome. Like things like that. You know, you're indebted to those people. And Credit Gear is a great company. They've always supported us, and they supported them because they used to give Edinburgh University a pile of gear and money and everything like that every year. Good company, good people. But I mean, on top of that, the other thing that we did is when Charlie was born, right after we put it out there on social media and stuff, letting the general public know what we were dealing with. I had a buddy reach out to me. He's a teacher. He was a wrestler. He was a wrestling coach, and he owns a DJing business. His name's Mark Isert. He owns this DJ business called Millennium Sound that he does in the non-school season. And he's like, I've always had this idea. I've done so many proms, DJing them. He's like, I was just thinking, it's like, why can't we do this for adults? And so I was waiting for something to come around that we could do it for. And he's like, what do you think? And I was like, have at it. And yes, I love the idea. Can't help you a whole lot right now. Yeah, it's like, I can't help you a whole lot right now. We're dealing with this. We're trying to fumble our way through it, but we'll be there. Our families will be there. But I'm sure you're going to have the support of the Edinburgh community, the General McLane community, the wrestling community. And we did. It started out small, and now it's amazing. That's $10,000, $12,000 every single year that we do it. And it's not only has it raised the funds for it, it's raised awareness. I don't think very many people in this area, unless they were affected with it personally in their circle, knew what cystic fibrosis was. I mean, I think that that message, that disease, that cause, is something you can help raise money for. That's out there in spades in this community based on that. I mean, and that came from a friend through wrestling. It's like I'll go on and on, like how indebted I am and how much wrestling means to me. And I tell people, and I tell my administration, and I'll tell anybody listening, like I say all the time, I believe in wrestling. That's it. I just believe in wrestling, like what it does for people, what it does to people that are around it. I mean, it's just an amazing community. And I'm sure other sports and there's those communities and anything you do, this is the one that I'm very privy to be part of. And I just love what it's done for me and for people around me.
Yeah, it is honestly the best sport out there. And, going back onto the, adult prom, I think one of my favorite, pastime things, like my state title, Tony winning his state title, our sectional title, our team title. Yeah. Just thinking back of the daddy-daughter dance of the prom last year, it just puts me in my feels, and that song plays. What's it called? I Lived, and it's just like, man.
By One Republic,
It's just an awesome moment. The whole daddy-daughter dance, and 1,000 people are there watching it. It's a great time and a very great cause.
Yeah, that song's very meaningful. I mean, if you haven't listened to it, get a chance to listen to it. They actually did a video with it, and it was about cystic fibrosis. So, I mean, that song's always meant, and it's, I can't hear it just on the radio without, getting a little emotional anytime. Doesn't matter what I'm doing, that song comes on. It's just like, sometimes I got to turn it. It's like, not right now.
Yeah, I'll turn on every once in a while and just think of the fun times.
Yeah, I mean, that's that one post you did, or I think it was one of the videos that you did in quarantine, and talking about things to get you through, things that make you feel better and stuff like that. I mean, you find a song like that, and it's generational. It's something that you're going to just hear it, and you're gonna feel that song for 20 years down the road. I mean, and I'm sure, hopefully, that's something that if you hear that song, 15, 20 years down the road, it's going to bring you right back there. Good memories and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's kind of finding stuff to get you through.
Yeah, for sure. And, Charlie is just great kid. She's very outgoing, loving, caring. So I always have a special place in my heart for you and Charlie.
Yeah, she's a fun little girl almost all the time.
All right, so let's talk about our stepbrothers pose.
Picture's great.
I forget whose idea it was, but man, it was a classic, and like people are always saying, hey, there it is.
Yeah,
People are always telling me how awesome it is. So
I have no idea whose idea it was either, but we nailed it. I know that.
Absolutely.
Hey, that's part of it, man. Have fun. Have fun with what you're doing. Have fun with the people around you. We always did that. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, it was. Tyler, who got anything for him?
I'm kind of jealous of the Step Brothers picture. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
y'all definitely pulled that one off.
When your podcast takes off, you guys are gonna have to do that.
Yeah, we'll have to do one when we actually meet in person. We'll have to do one. We still have never met in person.
We just bonded like through metal music and Call of Duty.
It's amazing what brings people together.
So right before you sell your podcast for $100 million, which I heard happens now.
Exactly.
Have one of them pictures taken.
Yeah, the Joe Rogan podcast is pretty well off, and so is the Call Her Daddy podcast. I am seeing.
Yep, I've seen that on there.
That's actually ranked 1 above the Rogan podcast, so which is crazy to me. Have you heard of it, Ryan?
No, I haven't. Call Her Daddy?
It's interesting.
So basically, two females talking about sexual stuff, like Charlie's sitting there, but basically, two girls are talking about how they did things and like how to properly do things, and it's blowing up.
Interesting.
I'll take JRE over Call Her Daddy every day.
Yeah, it is quite the podcast, and
mean,
if like me and Tyler are doing this like with something like that matters and it's caring and it's very inspirational, I don't see why it can't take off, really.
Right. People like good stories. People like to hear people talk.
Yeah, so everybody listening, go to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation and donate when you get a chance. If you have a chance.
CFF.org. Great side. Charlie's Angels is our team name. We've had that for a long time since she's bored. Like, got T-shirts and stuff like that. Not for sale. We just kind of throw those out
I still have mine.
At the event.
3 or 4 that I wear to practices and stuff.
Good. Spreading awareness.
There'll be a link in this video description too. So if you need something to click on, it'll be in the video.
Awesome.
Link. Good deal.
Awesome work.
Good
so
deal,
I'm gonna hit you with a speed round here. All right. I'm gonna give you 10 or so questions, but before I do that, I just want to ask one question. Who do you think is the best wrestling coach out there now?
Boy.
That's a tough one right out of the gate.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been fortunate to be around a bunch of them. I'm always going to be on the side of Tim Flynn.
Yeah.
Just basically because I've been around him so long and I've seen what he's done. And I've been at other programs, seeing their coaching staff and this and that. And I'm always going to be a guy that's like underdog. Doing the most with least, something like that. I mean, that always has to be taken into consideration. I mean, obviously what those big programs do, it's amazing. It's phenomenal. Wrestling is transcendent now because of some of the coaches like Cale Sanderson, what they're doing, and Tom Ryan, like in building a program, something like that. But I don't know. I've been around Tim so long and I've known him as a person, and I know like what he's done with the program. Like Edinburgh could easily have been a nothing program. Not like the PSAC wasn't any good, but it could have been one of those like in the middle type programs very, very easily due to facilities and financial restraints that are here at Edinburgh as well. I mean, a lot of those schools deal with them, but Jesus, the year that Edinburgh took 3rd in the country.
Yeah, right. I was on that team in 2015. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just. I mean, I'll never not think that is one of the greatest things in sports that I was around. I mean, so just based on that, I think, I mean, Tim Flynn's. I mean, he's got to be up there on the top of the list. I mean, at that level. I mean, I've been very impressed with some of the stuff in a short time that a guy like Bill Zadok's done with USA Wrestling. I mean, maybe and I'm not there to see it all. I'm just kind of like an outside spectator, so you can just kind of count wins and losses. But he was in a position with a fantastic team to come through. But, I mean, that's another one of those memories that I have, like Snyder beating Sadulayev for the USA to beat Russia in the very last match. And that is – I mean, I that's amazing. You can't get any better than that if you're a wrestling fan. USA, Russia, two guys that are just
down to the wire.
Yes, I mean,
Jordan Burroughs
losing
in London in 2012 was probably my favorite wrestling match, and just seeing him finally pull through and take gold in 2012 was just amazing.
Yep.
I mean, so I mean, like Zadok at that level, and I mean, program-wise, just like right here in Pennsylvania, there's great program-wise. There's some, I mean, they have something special at Reynolds. I don't have a, I don't have a tap on it, or I'd take some up this way. But I mean, that's one of those things that, I mean, obviously they have great coaching. They've had great coaching for a long time, but that's program. That's something that I like. What we have here, Jen McLane. I'm never going to give this up for anything. And we've worked really hard for it, but they have something in the program that's just ingrained. I mean, I think it might be a little bit easier at smaller schools where their sports aren't as successful. Maybe. I mean, I'm in a school district where, I mean, the very first time in Pennsylvania history that a team won both football and basketball state championships, that was John McLean. They did it the first time in Pennsylvania. You're the year guy. Like I told you, everything's one big deal as far as coaching, but I believe you're there.
Yeah, it was a guess.
And I had a lot of wrestlers on that team. A lot of people that are in the community. So, and basketball's been great ever since then, and football's been very successful since then as well. I mean, I'm in a school district that's a lot of sports that are very successful. So, and you're kind of pulling athletes here and there, and the town and community still sports them all. So. But I think that small town thing. So I mean, Reynolds. I mean, you gotta throw their coaching staff in there. This is a great coach as well.
And that's Casey.
Casey Taylor, he's the head coach there.
Yep. Yeah, he's
and I know Casey decently well. I didn't know him all because we've been AAA most of my time coaching, but I know him well enough to think that he would pass the baton off to. Like, it's not just me; it's our program, which I can say that as well. Like I mentioned. A couple guys real quick, just in passing, but, Hunter Harrison's been in that last name. The Harrison last name has been instrumental in Jen McLane wrestling. It's just, we did that online. Our Facebook, we did an online best of the best, and 4 Harrisons were all in the finals. We had 64 guys online voting.
Awesome.
It was fantastic. And that's another thing, like the wrestling community as a whole, we had videos coming in from my buddy Alex Clemson, head coach at Maryland. Rob Cole did a video. We had, I'm drawing a blank on the big coaches that did did videos.
Flynn did it too.
Yeah, Timmy Flynn did one for us. We had all kinds of people doing videos supporting their athlete, which was great. And that's easy. I mean, I don't know how many other sports, because I'm not asking the other professional sports to do it, but if you text or email a Division I top of the line college coach, like, can you do me this quick favor? 9 times out of 10, it's like, yeah, like, what do you need? Just give me a half an hour, give me this time, I'll get it to you. And it's just that easy,
And
I think wrestlers are relatable.
Wrestling is honestly the best sport, is just because not only are the people so kind, but like kind of everybody knows everybody in like some sense, and they're always willing to spread their knowledge and like just so on and so forth, and it's great.
Exactly right. Yeah, like, you're in my circle. I know this guy that wrestled for you from this guy, and like, all right, yeah, I know that guy, and yeah, what do you need? They're willing to let you in their circle pretty easily, which is great.
Yeah. All right. The final segment. I'm going to hit you with the speed round. 10 questions.
Oh boy.
Are you ready, Ryan?
Yeah, I've been
All
nervous all
right.
day. But
First question. Who has the best beard besides you?
my brother, Brent.
Oh,
Brent Cook.
I forgot about his.
He's a little better. He's put a lot more work into his than I have in mine. Mine just got really quarantined up here a little bit.
All right.
Why, who are you going to go with? Who do you think I was going to say?
James Harden, your favorite basketball player.
He's got a good beard.
Never heard of her. Sorry.
Never. That's funny. All right. Your favorite TV show and movie?
Favorite TV show, Parks and Rec.
Good choice.
Absolutely. I love it. Ron Swanson is one of the greatest American characters ever.
Yes,
I just love it. I mean, and I know people like it's back and forth between that and The Office, but it's great just to be able to sit down, put that on, and just laugh.
I'm gonna take Parks and Rec too, just slightly over The Office, but.
Nice. Maria's gonna be mad at you. A movie? You need a movie too? Those are hard.
Because really, I was thinking of this question, and like my first guess was probably saying Fight Club, but I didn't know.
Yeah, that's definitely up there. I mean, I can't do it. I never do just the one. I love The Green Mile.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Fight Club is definitely up there. Been such a long time since I watched movies. Like Netflix and streaming services just kind of suck you into
I know.
series,
It really does suck you in. All right, question number 3. Your favorite lift? Your favorite strength training lift?
It's easy. Bench press all day.
The old
You gotta get them chesticles pumped.
All right, number 4. Just tell me, your max bench press and your max squat numbers, because I'm just curious.
He's trying to set his own goals here to beat.
So are the viewers. Your max bench, your max squat.
They're probably the same. Is that bad? If it's the same weight. And I think the most I ever did, and there's a point in time when you stop doing like 1 rep maxes because elbows and stuff like that. But like 375 was the most I've ever done, I think, for a single rep. And squat, I had been getting into squat very heavily right before all this quarantine stopped. I was upper 400s.
You do deep squats too, and I mean lower than 90 squats, like ass to grass squats.
Yeah. I was getting up over 400. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was all reps. It was never like a 1 rep. I mean, like 2-3 reps, and I was pretty proud for somebody that I didn't traditionally do legs a lot. Like, I mean, I was a skip leg day kind of guy. But for many different reasons. Sometimes it's just painful and it sucks when I've had my knee scoped a couple different times. If
you got bad knees, doing squats hurts.
Yeah, but I mean, this last year I had some motivation. Jim Beach, he was one of my assistant coaches. He was in there pushing. He had a pretty strict program he wanted to get on, so I kind of hopped on it with him. And while I was healthy enough to do it, like, why not? So.
Who has also lost 80 pounds? Coach Beach?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
That is one determined individual there, man. He's inspirational. He was a great addition to our coaching staff. Like, he was a very successful head coach, and where he was at, and we had a good friendship. I don't know. He ran his time out where he was. I mean, he could probably tell you his reasons for coming, and I know he's always liked our program at Jen McLane, and he left his spot as coming off. He had a couple state qualifiers and a state runner-up, and he said, "I want to coach. I want to be an assistant coach with you at Jen McLane. I want to be at Jen McLane," which was great. Yes, welcome aboard. Yeah, and he gets on a kick, something like that. He's very motivated. He did. I don't know. I don't want to short him on his number, but 800 meter lunges, 800 meters of lunge. He had, I don't know. I want to say like a 4 or 5 month streak of doing it every single day.
Yep.
Dang.
He did. And
one time I did 1 lap and I was like, that's ridiculous. Just get up and get it done. That's part of it. Just set your goals and just do it. The hardest part is sometimes it's just getting out of bed, but once you start doing what you set out to do it.
He just had a baby daughter, right? I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He got 2 boys and a daughter. Little baby Sophie. We got to meet her last week.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 5. Your favorite band?
We got it's Dave Matthews Band. Go ahead. Dave Matthews Band.
I've seen DMB quite a few times in concert.
Great show, man. Great show.
Yep.
DMB, OAR, and Pearl Jam. They're all up there. Like those are the ones that I've listened to the longest, love the most. You know, things that can bring me back to a specific point in my life. Lately, I've been getting to a little more. I really like Mumford and Sons, and just like a feel good. I want to float on the lake out here in my kayak. Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats.
Yeah,
he's got a great sound, man. They're good. So those are some of the ones that are current top of the list, which I think will always be up in the top of the list.
Yeah. All right. Question number 6. Your go-to alcoholic beverage is what?
Right now it's between Bullet Bourbon, and Nugget Nectar IPA from Trogs.
Nugget Nectar. It just sounds
pretty good.
It's good. That was probably one of the first IPAs I ever drank. I had an assistant coach who was from Edinburgh University. This was probably 12 years ago. We're down in Hershey Estates, and that's where Trogs is brewed in Hershey.
Okay. Yeah, I did.
And he introduced me to it, and he's like, try this, and I was like, that's an interesting taste. I was a Yingling guy up until then, and like it got me. So I'm an IPA guy. Those are my two. I'll go with those ones.
All right, question number 7. Your favorite wrestling move?
My favorite wrestling move. Crab ride. I'm an old man now. Put me on top. I'm going to crab ride and use zero effort doing it most of the time. And just frustrate you the whole time.
And, I can honestly say this. His crab ride is very tight. It's very grippy. And as good as my changeover is on bottom, it's tough to get away from him.
I get tight a little bit. That's my go-to. That's my super tired wrestling move, too. As a coach, take your choice in the third period. I'm going top.
Going top. Yep.
And the wrestlers I'm not getting out. He's just gonna roll around.
All right. Question number 8. Your favorite wrestler?
My favorite wrestler? I'm not gonna go with guys that I coached because that's a long list.
I was gonna say that.
That's inclusive. It's JB all day.
Same.
What he's not only his accomplishments. If you have any time to listen to him talk in a YouTube video or any of his interviews, stepping right off the mat, like the clarity of what he has, of what he's done, the message he wants to bring to the people that are listening, everything. It's amazing, and just how can you not like him? And not only that, even if he wasn't that great of a person and spokesman, what he meant to USA Wrestling. We were not good. We were not good for a while. Till he burst on the scene, and right out of college, he won that world title. And we hadn't won. I'm not going to give the numbers on it. I don't have them in front of me, but we hadn't won very many world titles, medals at all up until that point. And then, he captain. And then you got falling right behind him. You got the old guy with Burroughs, and then you got Kyle Dake. Not Kyle Dake, sorry. That's the button heads. Right now. That's the bad blood there. But Kyle Snyder, Captain America. I mean,
and Barner's sneaking in with that Olympic win the same year too. Don't think about that one, but he snuck that one in. Coleman Scott in with the bronze.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a great year to watch. That's the night. I remember watching it, and Charlie was very, very young. I mean,
she was.
And I like Helen Maroulis a little bit too. She's one of my favorite wrestlers as well.
I do love Helen as well. And I just think of Jordan Burroughs kind of made the whole sport of wrestling freaking mainstream
accessible.
He just made it more mainstream and kind of gave it some new life and I mean
he made it cool again, man.
My favorite.
Great ambassador.
Cool again. Yes,
I don't think that you could pick somebody who speaks so highly and is so knowledgeable about the sport and talks about it in a way that is so simple for people who don't know anything about the sport that they can pick up on instantly.
And absolutely.
I also think what makes JB great is that he's a great person off the mat, and I just love that.
Yep.
Like, you know, his like tweets, his posts, his pictures that he says, like it's always a positive message, and I just like it's just great.
Yep.
He's a
Family man. Family man.
Yep.
Great.
All right, these last two questions, I'm going to put you on the spot, Ryan. All
Oh
right.
boy.
Who is the best GM wrestler that you have ever coached? You can do top 3 if you need to.
Yeah, I might have. I've been doing that a lot lately with my bands and movies and all that. Top 3. I mean, Ethan Laird is got to be way up there. I mean, just
not only
just
a great
recent-
wrestler, but a great athlete.
Yes, he was very good at everything. That's why he was so highly sought after going into college, because he never just wrestled. I mean,
Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, he's been ranked in the top 8 in the country. So, I mean, based on not only his high school career, but what he's done afterwards, I mean, I'm going to definitely put him up there at the top of the list. Hayden Harrison, I was an assistant coach when he was going through. He was amazing. That was another one of the reasons why I stuck around and want to coach, because the chance to have kids like him that were funny, focused, and just great people and great at wrestling. And he was just like, it's like, wow, we have guys like this that are going to come through our programs. And he's up there. He went on to have a great career. Now he's serving our country in the Navy.
He's a national champion, right? NAIA.
Yep.
National champ? Yeah.
Yep. He went second, first, third at 3 different weight classes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Kept getting bigger.
Yeah, and a little spoiler here is that Mr. Ethan Laird may or may not be a guest here in the future.
Maybe so.
I'm gonna pull coaching on him and say he's going to have to do it. I'm making him.
He may or may not be already scheduled. So the
Well,
last
you got to
question.
make when he does come on. You got to make sure that you put him on the spot here. Make him tell a story about Charlie and his Christmas presents.
Wait,
I'm not-
Charlie and his Christmas presents?
Yep.
Noted.
Got it. All right.
That'll
I'll
definitely be
do
brought up.
I'm not gonna
So-
pull that story for him, but it's
I'll be sure to ask him
Go
that. The last question. I'm going to put you on the spot. Your
Okay, the
favorite
last question was-
roommate. Now, there has been a lot of roommates from me, from Gregor, from Tony, from Brandon Saraceno. Your favorite roommate, if you had to pick, who are you living with?
easy. Charlie Cook.
Oh!
Boom.
I got off
Charlie
easy
Cook.
on that one.
All right. Well, that's
Everybody else is a close second.
there it is.
We had a great time, man. You were awesome to live with. I'm pumped that I got to have you in my life at a time that we did, and it meant a lot. It was good. It was fun. I enjoyed teaching you how to be a man, even though you failed me sometimes.
Whoa. I didn't fail in that many aspects, other than that I don't drink beer and I don't like cheese. Other than that,
Steak, man. Steak. Like your steak post the other day was just asinine. I just can't deal with
do
it.
like my steak cooked well done with some ketchup or A1 steak sauce, which I guess is like banned, huh?
I feel like if you're here one more year at Edinburgh, we could have got you there. I feel like I failed.
Well, I guess that is it for me. Tyler, do you got anything for him?
I don't have anything. I think we answered all the questions I was coming up with, and I think we covered them all. So I appreciate you being on. It was great to get and talk to you, and I mean, you're welcome to be back on the pod whenever you want.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I got a couple things I just want to throw out there here at the end. You guys are all right with me? Keep talking.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
It's something that I think about a lot, especially being a coach, is like noble callings, like people that do go out there and search out like their noble calling. I think some of the noblest callings is coaching. You're affecting people that way, teaching, serving in our armed forces, our service, our first responders, including police officers and all that. I know it's kind of like a little touchy subject, but I mean, there's bad people in every one of those very, very noble callings, but that should never, tarnish the image of what they do. I mean, some of this stuff is like very selfless act. I get paid to coach sometimes. I would do it for free. I love being able to affect other people in that way that are passionate about something. I can share that passion with them. And you got like teachers and anybody in the armed forces, you know, stuff like that. I mean, and I'm not going to spend too much time talking about our law enforcement agencies and all the first responders, but I'm just going to like lump it all together. I mean, there's bad people in every one of those fantastic professions, but to try and take out your, you know, your feelings towards one or two of the bad ones towards the whole group is tough, especially now, because like all those people and those noble callings are suffering right now. I mean, coaches don't get to coach their kids. The teachers who absolutely love their students, they get that got yanked away from them. They haven't seen them in, you know, 3 months, and they're still like questioning what's going to happen when they go back to school, how that's going to affect. And, you know, and it's got to be extremely hard to be a police officer at any point in time, especially now. I mean, I've got a lot of very close friends that are law enforcement agencies, and, you know, but give those guys a break. They're hardworking people that really love you, and, you know, they want to go home and see their families as well. And they're as bad in every profession and everything, but just those are noble callings that people choose, and almost all of them are very good people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty much I have on that. We don't need to get too political. But.
Yeah. Have anything else, Ryan? Any last messages or fun facts or a story or something?
No, I did a lot of talking. Support your sport. Right now, wrestling needs you more than anything else. If wrestling's your sport, support it. You see something on Facebook from your favorite college team, share that shit. You know, your college team is selling something online, buy it. Go to tickets. Maybe if your local college, university is selling season tickets, whether you can make one match or none of them, buy the season tickets. Yep. They need to see those sales, especially right now at this time when universities are struggling because they're trying to figure out their plan and how they're going to go forward and do stuff. But if wrestling is your sport, support it. Any of those other non-major sports, same thing. You know, they need your support as well. And unfortunately, it's a lot of times it's the dollar bill that speaks. But if not, I mean, you can buy a T-shirt. You can, and like I said, share a Facebook post. Just get that out there that this program that you're supporting needs some more support. So,
yeah, that's a awesome last message from our first official guest, Ryan Cook, my favorite coach, and an awesome person, a great guy, the best beard up there. And I guess that concludes our second official episode, huh, Tyler? That is it.
I think it does. And you know where you can find us?
So let's all my viewers, all my friends, the people sharing this, my friends and family, tune in here next week because I am having on Jordan Bakley, the head coach at Lincoln College, where I coach. And then the week after is a big one. It's Hayden Hidley, who is the NC State top dog wrestler. He's an awesome guest. I am so excited to have him. And Hayden's on with Kellen Devlin, who is my old friend from Buffalo, New York, a 3-time state champ and a starter at NC State. So I am excited for the future of the podcast. And I just want to say thank you to Ryan for coming on. So thanks, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I want to hear that. I want to hear the call. I want you guys to do it together at the same time.
You want to hear the call?
All right.
They're right here. You guys need me to count you down, or you guys can do it together?
I think we can do it together. You want to give it a go?
I want it. Time it out. Let's do it.
All right.
All right.
Go ahead, you two. 1, 2, 3.
Everybody do it. Okay, well,
right. We'll work on it. We'll work on it.
Tune in right here or something like that.
Yeah, need that. The tag. One person starts it, and you guys got to both then you chime in to right here at the same time.
Yep.
All right, Tyler, let's do it. Listen.
I'll let you start it.
All right, ready, Tyler? 1, 2, 3. Everybody, tune in right
here.
There we go. All right, that's a good end. Thanks, Ryan, for coming on.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Co-host, and it was a great episode. Until next week.
Right here.